Perhaps you heard about the story in Minnesota a little while ago where the Public Utilities Commission told the Somali cab drivers they didn't need to pick up blind people because they had seeing eye dogs, dogs being haram, impure under Shariah. Where's the ADA when you need it? I mean, come on. Imagine, in America. Perhaps you heard about the episode in Shelbyville, Tennessee, where, again, Somalis on the workforce of the Tyson's food plant down there persuaded the union to demand from management the replacement as a paid holiday of Labor Day with Eid, marking the breaking of the fast for Ramadan. This came as something of a shock to the other 2,000 employees there in central Tennessee, but it's the kind of thing that's happening under our noses. Just small, incremental, seemingly innocuous concessions that often enough we make, thinking either that it's being sensitive or politically correct, or at least avoiding the threat of violence. But it actually is part of the stealth jihad. How about Sharia-compliant finance? Has anybody heard of this? It's a $1 trillion industry today. Prominent elsewhere in financial markets, but now increasingly here in the United States as well. What makes something a Sharia-compliant financial transaction? Well, some would tell you it means that you don't either charge or earn, or pay rather, interest, or you don't involve in your transaction pork or gambling or alcohol or tobacco or pornography or Western defense. Muslim defense is okay, not Western defense. All true. But what really makes a transaction Sharia compliant is that some Sharia authority has said it is Sharia compliant. And the problem there is, of course, you don't get to be a Sharia authority hired at considerable expense by these financial institutions unless you have the right credentials. Mostly that means you absolutely buy lock, stock, and barrel Sharia, meaning you get that Sharia-compliant finance can be an instrument in the advance of the Sharia agenda in Western societies. It is an assault on the mainstream of the capitalist system, which enables you to legitimate Sharia, enables you to get all kinds of people in the financial sector and the government, including ours, to support this kind of enterprise. In fact, I have to ask a question. Are you all taxpayers here? I mean, there are half of us that aren't. I just want to make sure that I'm speaking to half that are. If you are, you'll be pleased to know you are actually owners of the largest purveyor of Sharia-compliant insurance products in the world. Did you know that? Yes. It's in your portfolio. It's called AIG. A colleague of ours has brought a federal lawsuit to challenge the proposition that that can possibly be constitutional. And unfortunately, we lost at the federal trial level. It's now under appeal. But the point here is, when your government says it wants to support the recycling of petrodollars, no questions asked, it is in part enhancing the ability of our enemies to bring Sharia to this country. Not just through AIG, but through Goldman Sachs and Citibank and any number of other companies that are now all about demonstrating their sensitivity, their tolerance, their diversity by offering Sharia-compliant financial products, not just to Muslims, by the way, but to everybody else. Let me conclude with one other piece. Sharia law is also being insinuated into our courts. We did a study at the Center for Security Policy, which you can find at securefreedom.org or shariahinamericancourts.com. It looked at just a tiny microcosm of American jurisprudence. 50 cases around the country in which somebody, plaintiff or defendant, tried to insinuate Sharia into a court proceeding at the state appellate court level. Again, just a sample of what happens, countrywide. What did we find? We found that in 27 of those 50 cases, in 23 different states, the court ruled, either at the trial level or at the appellate level, that Sharia should be used to adjudicate the matter. The most egregious of these examples, which will come to a point that I'm hoping Catherine will talk about, was one you may have heard of in New Jersey, where a state politician appointed to the bench ruled in a case where a woman from Morocco who had become an American citizen sought a restraining order against her Muslim husband because he was systematically torturing and raping her. And the judge found no evidence of criminal intent. He was simply practicing his religious rights under Sharia. Happily, overturned on appeal, but still, in America. And this is symptomatic of the other 27 cases. I think 95% of them involve the infringement of women or children, or both, their rights under our Constitution or under state public policy. So Sharia is in our courts as well. This has given rise to an initiative we're very happy to support. It's called American Laws for American Courts. What a concept. Who'd have thunk you need a law to do that? But the trouble is you do. The way it's been framed, which we think is constitutionally sound, is to prohibit any foreign law, not just Sharia, but any foreign law from being brought in if it does that infringement on constitutional rights or civil liberties. 3 states of the Union have adopted this law. About 20, maybe even 30 will, we hope, do so in the next cycle of the legislative session. It sure would be nice if Maryland were among them. Thank you for your interest.